there's a reason why we're specifically looking here at Mega Drive Classics to start with today. And that's partially apology, partially explanation. See, last week I was handed a game to look at, potentially for this week. And to that person, I need to apologize because I will likely be unable to view that game for several different reasons, all of which important to mention and also just generally imperative for anyone in game development, period, or anything like that. So, to start with, while I load up some suffering. The game in question, if you were paying attention last week, was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was called The Difficult Times of Mario Brothers. It's a Java game, essentially. I don't mind taking a look at a game that someone hands me. I'm fairly open to that type of thing. There are exceptions. And it's my fault for not clarifying them. It's my fault that I have to bring this up in the first place. But regardless, if I'm handed a game, I don't mind going into it blind. And that's not loading, what the heck. I don't mind going into a game blind, is the thing. If anything, I like it, specifically because it, well, forces me to think up things on the fly and essentially try to make it work. And this is not loading. Oh, great. Well, I wasn't wrong when I said technical difficulties stream. Fucking hell. Well then. So, since that's bugging, I just want to mention that if I'm handed a game, I don't mind going into it blind. There's a big however there. And that big however is I need to have information. One of the primary tenets that I build my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel around is logic, reason, information. And even when I go into a game blind, I still research the title. I still research the sources of the game. I research whether it's a legitimate game. I'll even go so far as to take a look at the files themselves just to verify its existence. And I've done that for this particular game. I've poked at the files, I've seen what looks to be trigger program for a game, I've seen what looks to be assets. But here's the thing. When I research it online, when I research that very game online, I find zero information. That's not a good sign. Not just for the person who's making the fan game, but also for me as the player. Because every single fan game has some type of source. No matter how hard you look, no matter where you look, there is a source, there is some type of hub page. This was the case for when I This was the case when I took a look at... trying to remember the name of the game. Okay, I was requested to take a look at Rogue Summoner. There we go. Earlier last year, I was emailed by the developers of Rogue Summoner. They asked me to take a look at their game. I jumped at the chance, because, well, I like a good roguelike, and they built their product well. They were advertising their product, and they were very vocal about advertising their product. In their case, it was fine for me to go about playing their game completely blind for a stream, and let alone for several videos. I would have continued, but the thing is, I couldn't. Specifically because I was busy. I don't like that, but that's just how it is. Sometimes things go by the wayside, and I'm really sorry to the developers. Regardless, I do plan on showing full support by buying the game second copy of the game, essentially. To essentially double verify, yes, I like this product, I support this product. I like doing that type of thing. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. In terms of fan games or things like that, I have taken a look at a couple fan games previously for Sage After, or Halloween Special even, and in those cases, each and every one of those games had some sort of dedicated hub. They had a site where you could take a look at the information for the game. They had some type of web page where you could, again, take a look at the game, see what's inside of it. There were videos available, for the most part, too. Either through YouTube, Vimeo, or some type of video service. Or, hell, even just an MP4 on the page itself. There was a source. Logic, reason, information. If I'm handed a game, I expect to be able to know something about the game before I even boot it up. And in this case, I know nothing. That's not a good sign. Not just for advertising the game itself, because it essentially means it's an unknown title. I don't mind unknown titles, just... I'm not in a position where I can feasibly be a patient zero in this case. Where I can essentially take a look at a game and be like, oh hey, I am the very first person who's ever taken a look at this game. And it's partially because I wouldn't be the right person to take a look at it in this case. Because, again, I'm relatively new at this. About a year. I've been doing this for about 1 year, and that's only it. So, honestly, someone with a bit more pull and a bit more of a face might be a better idea. It might be a better person to take a look at such a product. This leads into my next reason for why I'm unable to take a look at it. To take a look at the difficult times of Mario Brothers. It's unvetted. I've been continually waylaid and been running into technical issues this entire week, trying to essentially get it to run. I've run into issues running Java, the Java runtime environments, you know, at JRE. I've had issues actually vetting the program, because the virtual machine I would have been using doesn't work. And further, just won't support my computer for whatever reason now, so, that's gonna be a nightmare and a half to try and figure out a solution for. Then, on top of that, is the matter of all of the lack of information revolving around this particular title. I don't like looking at a game unless I have information around it, and this has been the very core of my being since I've started taking up gaming as a hobby. Well, now, part-time work, I guess, but regardless. logic, reason, information. Those are the three main tenets of my channel, and if I'm lacking information, then by my own logic and reason, I feel like I can avoid a product, because I can avoid a specific product. Hell, there have been many points where I've said something about a game and been wrong about it, and publicly apologized for it, for my spreading misinformation. Or rather, that's my intention in those cases. Because, again, logic, reason, and information. I prefer to be as accurate as possible, whenever possible. I prefer to be a rational thinker, and I prefer to approach any and all situations with acute thought. Part of it is because I have origins in the science field, but regardless. My point stands. If a game is lacking information, then it poses a hazard. And in my current situation, if I were to run into a hazard, I don't think I'd be able to right myself afterward. Because Alembic, you know, the computer I've been using to record all this stuff with, that's my only computer. I have no backups, I have no secondaries. Maybe it's a bad idea for me to be doing all this when I don't have a backup plan like that. Or rather, a backup computer. But that's just how I've got to do it for right now. As a result, I need to be a little bit picky about what I do or do not review some days, and in this case, it's an especially bad sign, yet again, that there is absolutely zero information about this fan game, and I have looked everywhere. MFGG, also known as the Mario Fan Games Guild. I have looked at Super Mario World Central. I've looked pretty much anywhere that you could potentially find information about Mario-based fan games. And again, all of these sources are updated constantly and consistently. And I'm going in loops. God damn it, where's that last clicky? Regardless, every single one of these sources are updated frequently and accurately. And should there be an instance where information isn't accurate, they update. They update and mention it. Especially so for the Mario Fan Games Guild, whose most recent entry was actually, like, earlier this week on the 4th, with, yes, another Mario fan game. I'm not going to be taking a look at that, partially because if I were to, then it'd probably be twisting a knife. But regardless, my point stands: logic, reason, information. And it's not a good sign that I've been given a game with no information behind it. I don't like to refuse viewing a particular product, especially since I'm so small. It's moments like this that will help me grow, that will further cement my identity online. But at the same right, refusal of such items also cements my identity. And I would like to be known as a person who stands by logic, reason, and information. If I don't know anything about a product, then it's not a good idea for me to advertise said product. It doesn't matter if I'm able to look at the in-game files. If I'm unable to vet the program itself, then I should be able to deem the program a hazard, a potential hazard, not a hazard period, just a potential hazard, and consider not taking a look at it until I'm at a point when I can easily look at it. So, to the person in question here, BJ, who dropped by last week, I'm sorry. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. If you come up in the future and ask about where this game is, I will, again, apologize. I'm sorry. I don't think I'll be able to take a look at the game. Because there's not enough information around the game that's publicly available. There is not enough information for me to trust the game, let alone the source. It's nothing against the person themselves, so much as the game in question. And I want to highlight that. If I ever refuse to take a look at a specific product, know that it's not because... Know that it's likely not just one singular reason why I'm refusing. Likely, it will be multiple. First and foremost. Second, it may be because there isn't enough information publicly available about the game in question. And, well, as a result, I would highly recommend that such information be publicized before I take a look at it. If it's a product that will be released soon, then I would highly encourage information to be posted as soon as possible, and I would gladly take a look at it after the fact. But regardless, every single game that I've looked at up to this point has had information available about them, or would have information available about them within the recent future. To those watching this, I'm really sorry that I'm essentially going on a what's about to be a 20-minute diatribe on what may or may not be common sense information, what may or may not be complaining, what may or may not be an apology. But it's part of establishing an identity, and I need to do this type of thing on occasions. There we go. Come on, Cookie. Get in my inventory. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be taking a look at things from here on. There needs to be information around the product. Around the thing that I'm going to, around the product that I'm going to be reviewing. There needs to be legitimate information. Because I'm generally a person who does a lot of research. I am in a field, that being psychology, where research is not only important, but mandatory. And Spike Ball. So to that end, I want to take a look at hard games today, and unfortunately, I've also been running into technical issues, which lends me to yet another problem. Have I mentioned, by the way, that I've been suffering nothing but technical issues over the past 5 or 6 days? The computer that I've been running, Alembic? Yeah, as it turns out, the cable that's supposed to be... Well, actually, that cable works, but the driver that the cable connects to has been giving me some issues. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Also disappointed in this boss. Really? Is it really, Eggy? The best you could think of on such short notice when you're trying to kidnap Flickies and take over, I don't know, South Island, I guess, this time again? Again? Is drop a spiked ball on a hedgehog that's supposed to move faster than the speed of sound. Sure. That's a brilliant idea. You want a medal? I digress. Oop. So, back to what I was talking about. Alembic... Yeah. Breath me. Okay. For those unaware, I have... Due to health issues, I am essentially about 3 feet away from the nearest monitor, and there is a super long HDMI cable connecting me and... I'm sorry, connecting my computer and this monitor. Again, this is due to health issues. I, unfortunately have a diagnosis for arthritis. Rheumatoid. Hips. And for this entire year, I've been... yes. I've been trying to get this health issue squared away and everything. It's gonna take a while. But regardless, my bitching aside there, and I forgot I need to head the other way for this. There's a long distance between me and my monitor, and for whatever reason, earlier this week, when I was trying to test out the fangame in question... Oh, fuck you! It's fine. It's fine. I was trying to check out the fangame in question, right? And as it turns out, I ran into an issue where the driver that was supposed to be connecting the HDMI to this monitor wasn't working. So I had to spend a good couple of days figuring that out, fixing that. And by the point that I was able to fix it, it was Thursday. And I still needed to set up the virtual machine again, and it just... I ran into nothing but issue after issue, and it got to the point that not only my upload schedule for this entire week has suffered, but also any plans that I had to record games also suffered, and I am completely and totally behind schedule, and it's just a nightmare. So, effectively, this also means yet another reason why I end up having to refuse a project like that, refuse taking a look at a fan game like this. That being that I really don't have the time, because on reference, it takes a good... Ow, fuck you. Filthy mouth, me. I want to clean that with some gum. It takes about a good 12 hours in order to render out the video, the VODs, for the last 2 weeks. That meaning 2 VODs, but regardless. It takes about 12 hours to render all those out, and it takes more time thereafter to upload it to YouTube, depending on the quality of the VODs. I've been trying to keep up the quality of these videos for the longest, and in some cases, when a video takes like 4 hours just to upload, I need to sacrifice the quality of it. Yes, I'm bitter. I have a point. No. It's fine. It's fine, it doesn't bother me. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. I'm really, really behind, and again, yet another reason why I won't be able to take a look at that particular game is because don't have the time to. I don't have the reasonable amount of time, currently at least, to potentially get it running, and even past that, there's not enough information about the game, period, for me to form an initial opinion about it, let alone deem it safe. And yet again, I want to mention that I will never give only one reason to not view a particular project. I will give multiple. Because more often than not, it isn't just one exclusive reason that leads to a person being able to or unable to do something. It's multiple. And I figure a 100% clarity in these cases is ideal. It may sound like I'm rattling off a bunch of excuses, and if you want, you could reason it that way. But you would have to reason me as being careful, first and foremost. And that is not up for debate. I'm a very careful person by nature, and as a result, I am the type of person that does a lot of research. I don't like coming to harm, I don't like seeing other people come to harm because of my decisions, to the point that, in some cases, I may go above and beyond just to try and rectify the issue. This won't be one of those cases, however, because I feel like my reason for rejection here is... my reasons for rejection here are legitimate. There is not enough information regarding the item in question. There has been a lot of difficulties for me trying to get what needs to be done for the week. And I can't feasibly call the product safe because I can't properly run and evaluate it. The issue is at least threefold that I've given, and all of those folds need to be said, because, again, I'm a person who values logic, reason, and information. If I didn't provide this type of information, then I'd be going against the very tenets that I formed my channel upon. Stupid bee. And I don't have enough frames for the special stage, so call the stage. Call the stage. To anyone who views this particular video, yet again, I'm sorry! This entire diatribe has gone 28 minutes, maybe 29. And I haven't even gotten to talk about the current game whatsoever! And that leaves me very disappointed, because this is Sonic 3D Blast, and I have grown up with this game. It's a very fun game. Is it necessarily a good Sonic game? No. No. Not by any stretch. But I do respect the game, I do respect the developer the developers. One of which who decided, actually, sometime last year, if not 2019, if not maybe 2018 even, that they were going to essentially continue the project that they never got to finish, that being this game, and improve it to be a better product. Yeah. There is, in fact, a mod that you can get if you own the Genesis Classics version of Sonic 3D Blast, made by one of the original developers from Traveler's Tales before, went defunct. That decided, you know what, I want to go back to this game and put back all the things that got rejected, well, some of the things that got rejected or weren't able to be done back then, into a valid product now, and fully complete the project that was their baby, essentially. It's fine. It's fine! Yeah, I think I've gone through my entire perspective on everything right now for game-related stuff, except for Sonic 3D Blast. General premise of this game: Eggman wants to take over a Flicky Island. Wants to take over this place called Flicky Island, which is full of guests. So he decides to kidnap the residents, seal them in robots, and leave it at that. Sonic, who happens to be around at the time, is like, "Whoa! These Flickies have turned into robots!" And decides to, well, fix the issue. In each stage is divided into 2, 3, maybe even 4 sections where you break apart robots, collect the Flickies, and guide them to the warp ring. There are 5 Flickies in each and every area, and you need to collect every single one of them before you're able to get to the next. If I remember correctly, there are 4 types of Flickies? There might just be 3. Like, there's the green one, which fucks around and does what... Yeah, there are 4. There's the green one, which fucks around and does whatever. There's the blue one, which will always try to find Sonic wherever he is in the level. There is the red one, which bounces all over the place, is an absolute pain in the ass. And there's the purple, which actively tries to avoid Sonic. Every time you destroy a robot, one of these 4 Flickies will spawn, and for the most part, it's fixed which Flickies spawn from which enemies. So, provided you're paying attention to the enemy types that you're running into, you know exactly what types of Flickies can and or will spawn from them. But of course, this being an early Sonic game, there's also Chaos Emeralds to collect. You've already seen me do 2 special stages during my 30-minute long diatribe rant of doom. But just in case that wasn't clear enough, collect 50 rings, find Tails and or Knuckles in the level. Stand next to them. You'll give them the rings, and if you've given them 50 or more, then the first time that happens, you'll be transported to a special stage. In these special stages, you need to collect rings, up to, actually, 50 for the first section, 100 for the second, 150 or 200 for the third. And if you succeed, then with each section, you move on to the next, until you get to the last section where you get the emerald. There are 7 Death Emeralds. And, of course, these special stages get harder the further you get to the emeralds. However, there's also an additional wrinkle that needs to be mentioned. That being, if you can somehow... actually, depending on who you talk to, either Tails or Knuckles, the special stage in question may actually be harder. If I remember correctly, Knuckles' special stages are harder, but earn more points? I think that's how it goes. I could be wrong. But I do remember that there was a special stage within that one particular pillar that was, like, on a grassy tile. Not the big one here, the little one. Getting to it, on the other hand, with a spinning power-up is tricky. Especially since I don't remember where the spinning power-up is. It does exist, and you can take it down all the way to here. Was it above here? No, it was not. I don't think that was breakable, so... Okay, up there. So in the next section. Got it. But anyway, Sonic 3D Blast is an isometric platform, which is already going to be giving people headaches. I'm very aware of that. Isometric games kind of do that to people. But regardless, I grew up with this game, so I have a good familiarity with it. Oh. Case in point, the aforementioned Chaos Emerald type platform game. Of course, that means I'm going to need to be pretty careful, because the moment I get hit, I'm going to be losing every single one of my rings. That's not a good thing. Yep. There we go. The Spitty power-up will destroy certain totems, and it will also destroy badniks you run into. It won't protect you from hazards, and it doesn't make you invincible. So knowing where to place yourself is important for properly using it. But now these special stages. They're a bit weird. They're auto runners. Collect rings, don't get hit by spiky orbs. Do that a bunch of times, and you're good. There are occasional moments where you'll need to jump, either to avoid spiky balls, or otherwise get past obstacles. Case in point. But you could also use these walls to essentially get your breather. There is no time limit for these special stages. Provided you're careful, you should be fine. Huzzah! Give me that emerald. If I remember correctly, you cannot initiate special stages multiple times from a character. I could be wrong about that. It's been years since I last touched this game. But regardless, there is pretty much always one Tails and one Knuckles in each level. They're just hidden. So, provided you're carefully investigating, you should be fine. Good. You might have noticed those Sonic Head icons I'm picking up on occasions. Picking up 5 of them within a stage will give you a continue. And there are exactly 5 in every stage, in almost every, if not every stage, if I remember correctly. Picking up 5 in general will give you an extra life instead. Fuck. Wait, was it the green ones that avoid me? I don't remember that either. But I did at least go over the 4 AI types of Fookies, and they don't really change. They're color-coded, essentially. Milieu. That's the last Flicky. So at this point, it's just getting out of the stage. Alternatively, I could go searching around for Knuckles! I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm less okay. I'm less okay. Better. Oh, cool. Stage clear. Get me out of here. This game was released on not just Master System / Genesis, but also on Sega Saturn. And if I remember correctly, it was a release game for Sega Saturn too. The Sega Saturn version is much more technically advanced. It has differences in special stages. Fucking Christ. It's got differences in music, it's got differences in atmosphere. Actually, this level is the perfect example of some of the many changes that occurred between the original version and the Sega Saturn version. Because the music was different, there was a fog effect, even. There was a lot different between the original and the Saturn version. And this boss in particular can be gimmicked if you're good with your platforming, in that you can bonk Eggy and get back onto one of these top platforms. If you're good at your acrobatics. I'm not, so of course, I've run into issues. Fuck this stage. Just fuck this stage. There are a whole bunch of tiles on the ground that look like they're not springs, they end up being springs, or they're not springs and you're expecting them to be. Case in point. There are bumpers all over the place, there's these things! And, by far the worst gimmick. Spiked floors. Stand on those tiles for too long, and you're going to be getting a very, very sharp present. Ow. This enemy here can't be bounced on, or it can't be jumped on. You have to use the spin in order to destroy him. That's minor, honestly. But regardless, I've had many moments as a kid where I've just been bouncing around this stage and been like, oh god, make it stop! Ah. You. Pufferfish here occasionally puffs up. And then tries essentially attacks you when you're trying to attack it. Balloons! Bonk one and you go flying into the air a little bit. Huh, I guess I can jump on them just on very specific angles. Noted. So, 2 enemies left. One of the bigger issues that people tend to have with this game is, at some point, it essentially devolves into a wild goose chase. It's a legitimate complaint, and I agree. Because, again, in order to progress the stage, you need to get 5 flickies and get to the warp ring, and that's not necessarily an easy task. Especially since every time you get hit, you lose all the flickies you've collected. If the flickies themselves get hit, then they scarper and go about their merry business. And that can lead to many moments where you're just bouncing around like this, trying to get your flickies back, and it's very frustrating. Where do I go? Whoop! There's also no map. So, yeah. That's at least forgivable, though, considering this is an early Master System. Sorry. This is a very late Master System game / very early Sega Saturn game, and mini-maps weren't exactly common in games back then, if at all. Speedo! Get in the ring, and there we go. Now to find Tails and or Knuckles. Because once I get the 7 emeralds, things get a little bit easier. Because I don't have to worry about them and just progress the stages. There we go. As a note, I'm not currently playing the modded version, I'm playing the base. But I can switch over to the modded once I've cleared this particular stage to show it off. Because the modded not only adds a whole bunch of music tracks that got cut, but also a level select, a level editor, fully functioning too. It implements Supersonic into the game. It's just, by and large, making 1.3 of this game when it didn't necessarily need to be made, but it did get made, and it's really great. And yeah, there's even a bunch of YouTube videos up that essentially detail the work that went into the project, as well as a whole bunch of trivia. Likely when I come down to properly chunking this down into pieces. By the way, I do that, and you can take a look at my YouTube channel, Sage Blake, in order to see those pieces about 2 weeks after they have been live. Might be a bit longer currently, because I am flailing at getting a whole bunch of videos together. But regardless, you can take a look at them there. And if you're there, thank you. I really appreciate the views, and could you please hit that like button? Give me a little more support. It's essentially a free action. You don't have to do it, but it would be nice to essentially know that you appreciate what I'm putting out. Just a little bit. Snap. But back to this game. 3, and I think there's a pufferfish. Yep, pufferfish. That's 4. And there's 5, once I can bonk it. Huzzah! And while I'm at it, I want to see why I'm not able to get that particular mod working for Sonic 3.